Hello and welcome to the Villa Park podcast. It's me, Rich, and I'm back. And I can see George in the background just setting up to join for the match preview for Aston Villa versus Brighton and Hove Albion. The early kickoff on live on TNT Sports, not BT Sport, TNT Sports tomorrow. Yeah, it should be an absolute cracker. So we're going to go through our usual stuff, talk around the players for Villa, the situation at Villa, the players for Brighton, who to look out for. We know that they're a dangerous side. They're on very good form. Take a look at the stats. Look at our predicted lineups. Get your thoughts on the predicted lineups. And of course, what we think the scoreline is going to be. So get involved in the comments. Hopefully have a bit of fun in the comments as well. So without further ado, let's get the man in himself. He's back in his cubby hole. How are you doing, mate? You've been banished from the kitchen tonight.
Evening, Rich. Evening, everyone. Yeah, mate, back out here. Listen, this is not as glamorous as it looks out here. 2 minutes ago, I've got the baby screaming upstairs, "Daddy, Daddy, get mummy." It's it's scenes, and I'm like, I've got to go on in about 5 minutes.
The life we lead, eh? The
I
life we
know, I
lead.
know.
Yeah, and then I bet you were popular, weren't you? Are you going to do that podcast and leaving me to look after the baby?
Yeah, you know how it goes, mate.
I can imagine. Well, thank you for joining us, mate. It's great to have you on. I know I did the fans forum by myself on Monday, but I don't know if I could have done another match preview all by myself. But obviously, we've got you guys in the chat as well, helping us out. We've got a happy Everton fan, Richo, in the house. Good evening, mate. Great to have you in. Adamski, what's up, all? What's up with you, mate? All good, all good. Duncan, evening, all. Dico Blanco. Oh my God, I actually caught a live one from the start. Praise the Lord.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, even George got here on time. Brilliant to have you on board, guys. Deontay, happy Friday. Let's hope for a bounce back tomorrow. Absolutely. Gary, comments coming in, flying in. Gary said, "Hi everyone, Brighton and Villa both suffering in the cups at the minute." Yes, they are. We'll come on to that a little bit as well. Zombie, gutted. There's no trains again. Always strikes when we're at home. Yes, maybe we'll talk a little bit on that as well. Obviously, some different ways of getting to the ground for people tomorrow. I'd say make sure you give yourself plenty of time because obviously more people are going to take the car. So give yourself plenty of time to park up. Don't wish we'd have rested the key players more in the cup. Well, we'll talk a little bit on that as we build into the game. I'll get your thoughts on that, George. Lewis said, good evening, mate. Early match this weekend, Sadamski, gotta love it. Rachel's in the house. Hi, Rachel. Great to have you on board. As always, guys, over great numbers watching at the start as well on a Friday night. It's brilliant. So I'm going to do my usual request to you all to hit that like button. Make sure you do, please hit the like button. And if you are new to the channel, please subscribe. We're close to I think 2,450, very close to that at the moment. We've had a real good week in terms of subscribers. I don't know if it's due to my face being portrayed on the instant match reactions. A few people are having a laugh about that, but actually it went down really well, that video. So many comments on that that defeat to Everton video. Not one that I wanted to do as such, but yeah, so many comments on that. So it was really good to see. But yeah, we're really back on the growth trail, and you guys are really helping us do that. So, like I say, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. And if you do want to become a member, or if you do want to contribute to the channel, click the join button to become a member, or click the $ at the bottom, follow the instructions. It's just $1.99 a month. Or if you do want to send us a super chat or super sticker or contribute to the channel, hit the $. And obviously everything goes back into the channel to help provide the content that we do for you guys. So George, just a little bit on Lewis, love it because I'm beautiful. Exactly. Bit on the game on Wednesday. I know we were in the chat in the WhatsApp group, and I did my match reaction. Again, it's always easy in hindsight to kind of say, yes, it's a competition that we didn't want to be in, or it's a few less games and stuff. But again, like professional footballers, they want to win every game, or they should want to win every game. But to me, it was a little bit around the manner of the performance and the way that we kind of approached the game that got me. Not necessarily the result, but more so the approach. What were your feelings on Wednesday night?
Yeah, sorry there. Yeah, I completely agree with you, mate. Obviously, you made a few changes to the lineup, which is to be expected. We're not at the stage in the journey yet where we can start going on 4 or 5 fronts and rotating players that are going to be good as the ones we're moving out to bring in. So it's always going to be tough, but it wasn't even that for me. It was just, again, it was similar to the performance in Poland the other week. We just didn't look up for it. It was almost like even the top players that played, it was almost like they thought, you know what, can't really be asked tonight. It was either can't be asked tonight or it's only Everton, and you can't go into any game with that attitude. And we end up getting what we deserved out of it because we were, we were atrocious for most part of that game. The passing
Yeah.
was just abysmal, Rich, wasn't it? You
Well,
literally couldn't pass the salt.
Well, that's it. That's it. I would have been interested to have seen the warm up, because I remember back when I used to used to coach and manage, obviously semi-pro level, nothing like this level, but you could always tell like the mentality of the players or most players by how they approach the warm up. And that then sometimes dictated what you would say to the players, the 5 minutes before they go out for the actual start of the match. It would have been really interesting to see what the players were like in the warm up. Were they, just passing the ball about, not really bothered? Were they
Banging
half-hearted
shots at the
in the
goalie.
yeah, were they half-hearted in the possession and the bit of keep ball and stuff like that? Because then that would have been a sign as whether it be Emery or not, it might have been one of the assistant coaches to start getting in people's faces and getting them up for the game, um, and really kind of putting the shitters up them basically. It would have been interesting to see that because if they'd approached the warm up, and everyone was buzzing, everyone was into it, everyone was kind of, really on fire, then it's a little bit of a surprise. But by the way that passing was, I could imagine what the warm up was like, and it was lackluster. I could imagine, but yeah, it would have been interesting to see that, because there's a lot of how you approach that with how it goes in the actual game. So yeah, it was just so sloppy. It was lazy, and the worst thing is that, and a few comments coming in, I'll read them out in a second. Is the worst thing about it is that, as I said in the reaction, it's so hard to kind of like keep reacting to bad defeats or bad performances. It's far better to keep that momentum going, and you can't just keep switching the tap off and switching it back on again. It doesn't work like that. And like, regardless of who's playing, yeah, it's just that's the frustrating part, that at some point it will catch up with us if we continue this kind of good couple of performances, organized performances, and then really sloppy, lazy, like almost like you're in a rut type of performance.
Yeah, like you say, you can't just pick and choose when you're gonna fancy it and when you're not, when you're gonna play well, when you're gonna not. Because it does at the minute. It's like we must sound really silly on here because we're playing a league game and winning, and we're waxing lyrical about how good we were, and then 3 days later we're throwing in a shocker and we're then telling everyone how shit we are. It's like we're not quite sure where we are at the minute, are we? Are we the Premier League side or are we the team that keeps turning up in the cups?
That's the thing. That's the thing. Like, yeah, I know you're always the voice of reason. Like, you don't get too excited when we win, you don't get too down when we lose. But yeah, it's really difficult. It's almost like I think someone put in the comments a Jekyll and Hyde team. Like, we look
Yeah.
so professional and so organized generally in the Premier League, and obviously our record suggests that. But then in the cup games at this moment in time, we've been nothing short of atrocious, and that's the real kind of puzzling thing.
I mean, is it just the juggling of suddenly going from one game a week for a whole season now? Because obviously we got knocked out of the cup straight away last year, and probably the year before that. So all of a sudden now, are they just struggling with the extra games and stuff? I'm not sure, mate.
It could be an element of that. Could be an element of them having to get used to that a little bit. I think it's also the injuries are obviously playing a little bit of a part,
Of
and
course.
also like some of the supporting players. just aren't up to it at the moment, whether that be fitness, whether that be ability. And then, it only takes like 2 or 3 players to, drop off, and then you've automatically got like a really poor performance. One thing that still concerns me is that leadership element. Like, I thought a few players stepped up against Chelsea, but when I tweeted out, the least you expect from if you're playing badly is to run harder and to put tackles in. That's the least you can do when you're not playing well, and almost kind of drag yourself into a decent performance. But we just didn't do any of that. And I understand sometimes they want to keep that organization, as Emery tells them to do, but sometimes you've just got to grab the game by the scruff of the neck and just go for it, and almost like risk the manager telling you, like, having a go at you for the sake of like getting some momentum, getting some feeling into the game, and like, getting people up for it. And I just don't think we've got that at the moment.
No, I mean, Everton did that, didn't they?
Yeah.
What an improved performance from them from, a few weeks ago when we absolutely battered them. It was almost like, don't get me wrong, we were all watching streams and they weren't the best. I know mine wasn't, and I'm pretty sure you lot said the same. But from what I could see, just from the first whistle, they were into the first tackle, just smashing Villa all over the place. And you could see our players just thinking, oh, leave it out, Everton. This was supposed to be a nice, easy night for us. We can't be arsed with this. And that was just how it went. And Everton grew in confidence. That they realised we didn't fancy it. And, and they ended up putting in a top-notch performance, I think, So it ended up being a mixture of, we were shit, of course, granted, but I thought Everton were really, really good on the night.
Yeah,
so, you couldn't begrudge them the win.
No, absolutely not. I'd say they fully deserved it, and they've actually got some pretty decent players. So yeah, I'd expect them to kind of start moving up the table a little bit. So they might, if they can keep that 11 or 12 players fit. Harrison's a good player. I like him. Calvert-Lewin, obviously, if they can keep him fit, they've got that Beto off the bench. They've got Garner, who's a good footballer. They've got they've got Onana, who's still pretty decent. They've got some decent players in there.
Like you say, though, they were in a rut, weren't they? And it looks like they're trying to get out of it now, finally.
Yeah. Few comments. Deco said it's the rotating players dropping a testicle, then having to bring the players on. We're trying to rest. Yeah, that's the annoying thing. Like having to play them for more time than we probably anticipated. Rachel said we just can't build momentum. There is always something that stops it. Results, performances, and injuries. Yeah. Atmosphere in the ground was awful. Not blaming the fans, as I get why it was half empty, but they gave us nothing to cheer until the last 10 minutes. Absolutely.
Yeah, true.
But I think sometimes you've got to create your own atmosphere. I remember Roy Keane saying once, you even if you're playing down the park with no one watching, you've got to imagine that you're playing in Wembley in front of 80,000 or something. You've got to build your own atmosphere. You've got to create your own controversy. That's why I'm saying, like, someone just grab the game by the scruff of the neck, put a bad tackle in, do something that is going to get someone going, So that's what I say. Gary says, still no cup win for Emery, excluding qualifiers. Who would have thought that?
Yeah, the old cup maestro, eh?
Yeah. Dunk says, might be controversial. Is it time to scrap the League Cup and have the FA Cup as the sole domestic cups? But he does actually like having both cups.
Yeah, not for me.
Say that again.
Not for me.
I like him. Man. I like him. I think they're balanced up okay with the calendar.
Don't get me wrong. I know the certain teams win it most of the time, regardless. But you can't take that dream away from clubs. A trip to Wembley or a big semi-final. You shouldn't mess around with tradition too much, in my opinion.
Yeah. Rage said the cup thing is a slight myth with Emery, as he does well in Europe, not necessarily domestic cups. Interesting. Deco said, I disagree with the cups. That'll be one less competition we could realistically win. Wasn't that long ago I sat at Wembley inhaling COVID, watching us lose narrowly to City. Yeah, I was there as well.
Amazing.
Villa never make things easy. Going to be hard work to win anything, even under Unai, says Gary. Burnley at home, yes, we would have got a more Prem versus Prem ties. What a missed opportunity again. Yeah, spot on, Rich. No one shouting at players on the pitch. Yeah, we've got to get that. Really randoms in the house, evening all. What's that? I think people are just having the conversations amongst themselves. John Lawson's in the house. We need to be a cup team. Forget winning the Prem. Let's get some silverware. Some Villa fans haven't seen us lift a trophy. Absolutely. We'll talk kits maybe later or in the fans forum. Zombie said if the two efforts from Luca and Zaniola went in, we wouldn't be talking how poor we were Wednesday. Yeah, I mean, maybe so. Maybe don't let teams in Europe in the League Cup. Like I say, I still think it's a competition. It was a team that we put out that could have won. But anyway, we'll move on from that because we've got the game on Saturday. But what I wanted to say was in relation to the cup was that another team that went out and went out of the Carabao Cup and also have lost their first game in Europe, Brighton. They've started very well in the league. You could suggest that they're kind of adjusting to life, having to juggle all competitions. And as Eric C, who sent us a super chat, $4.99, amazing, thank you very much. This weekend we'll show our pedigree up the Villa, and I guess it'll also kind of show Brighton's pedigree as to kind of where they're at. But yeah, how would you kind of assess Brighton in terms of that? Because, like I say, they've struggled in the cup competitions. They went out to Chelsea the other night.
Yeah, I guess, we're sort of on similar trajectories, aren't we? Brighton's first time in Europe. They've done absolutely fantastic, haven't they? Sort of caught a bit of their game with Athens the other night. I mean, they were better against them than we were against Warsaw. I know that.
Yeah.
They just kind of got undone with got that the first goal. I think it's the first goal. Do you see that header from Athens?
I think so. Yeah.
What's a header? What a goal that was.
Yeah.
And I'm not convinced they deserve to lose that game. But Brighton have done very well. I mean, last year they had a good run in the in the FA Cup, wasn't it? They lose the semi-final, I think, to United, didn't they?
Yeah, they
very,
did.
very unlucky.
Yeah.
But it's hard now with trying to balance all these games. You've got to try and keep your players fit because every Premier League game now is do or die, isn't it? It's so competitive and the league is so strong. As I say every week, it's hard. It's like you can't just rest 5-6 players and think, oh yeah, we've got a chance the next game. It just doesn't work out.
Exactly. I mean, there's with regards to Brighton, like they've made numerous changes. I think they made something like 8 changes on Wednesday. But then they've also made like lots of changes for like certain league games, but played like extremely well. And as you say, that similarity, I know Deco said like any parallels with Brighton, we don't mind, of course.
Yeah.
But like it's almost as if we're almost at that stage. I'd say that some of our reserve players aren't quite good enough, but you can kind of see where Emery's going. Like the players have a set way of playing, have a set system, and that's similar thing with Brighton. Like they've got a set way of playing, a set system. So you can bring in a 19-year-old winger, you can bring in a 22-year-old midfielder, you could bring in James Milner, who's 37. They know how he wants them to play in that particular system that they're playing.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, obviously, De Zerbi's only a new manager, but Brighton have had their scouting sit. I'll say that Chelsea have gone in there and took most of them, but they've had a set way of signing players, haven't they, for a good few years now? So it's not mattered whether it's Potter, De Zerbi, or going back before that, whoever it was. They know what players to sign, and the manager basically has to deal with what he gets. Whereas us, we've signed players especially for managers. So in that aspect of it, they're probably a lot further ahead, and hence why they can sub a couple out, bring a couple in, and it's more of a streamlined approach. Whereas we do that, and we fall off the edge of a cliff.
Yeah, 100%. Really random says, I hope we do Brighton. They're decent, but we always do okay versus them lately. That is true. And Dunk says that we are their bogey team. He's put his score prediction in. We'll get them as well later. But would you say that this particular time, given the way Brighton have started, obviously they've had good wins against Newcastle, Man United. Obviously they did lose to West Ham. But would you say that this time it is a real kind of humdinger, like they are, I wouldn't go far to say that they're favourites, but this time is like a real tough one against Brighton.
Yeah, for sure, it is tough. But then I think last year they were tough as well. I didn't relish any game against Brighton, or even the year before. Even they've all been, for some reason we've seemed to have the bit of the edge on them, and we've done pretty well. But they've still come to Villa. Like, was it last year? I think it's Emery's first game. and we kind of we
First
really
away game.
stunk the
First
place
away
out
game.
there, didn't we? And nicked a 2-1 after going 1-0 down in about 30 seconds. You know, and they hammered us really, but we shit housed the game and won it 2-1. And we've just found a way to beat them over the games. I mean, you know, there was hairy moments in the final game of last season when we were trying to get into Europe, because they are a really good side, and I don't think you can really out football Brighton. You've just got to pick and choose, you know, and take your chances when they come.
Yeah, it was a funny game, that one last year, because I think it was Louise who made a mistake for their goal, but then he kind of rectified himself by winning the ball back, and then Danny Ings scored a really
That's it.
like,
He done the same, didn't he, as what happened to him?
yeah, and then Ings like hit the shot and it bobbled in, and then we played like 8 across the back.
Yeah.
At the end of the game, stuff like that. It was literally like the worst.
Time wasted about half an hour, didn't we?
Yeah. But anyway, it was it was one of them. It was awesome win. But and then obviously the home game, you know, it came to the point where Brighton had done brilliantly to get themselves into that Europa League position already. It was just the fact that we had to win, and we had to better Spurs result to get there. And they made it a real game. They made a real game of it for like 60, 65 minutes, but then kind of you knew that they, you know, kind of took the foot off the gas for the last half hour or so. Yeah, they've done their job. Talking on Brighton's players, though, as we've said, you know, they've got a system. Like a lot of the time, they can just slot players in to certain areas. But like, who have you been really impressed with from a Brighton perspective?
Oh, they're just one of them clubs, aren't they? I mean, they remind me a little bit of Brentford. We always say the same about them. Half the time, we've not heard of these players, but within 3 weeks, you're like, oh, bloody hell, they're good. That's going to be the next one they sell for about 80 million.
Yeah.
You know, obviously the other one everyone will mention at the minute is Matoma. You know, he's just absolute class, isn't he? The goals he scores, he can hit it from anywhere. Seems to be good in the air. It's quick. You know, and they're bringing him off the bench. You know, they've got the lad Enciso. You've got Ferguson, who looks a real prospect up front. Looks like he's like the mini Shearer to me, and I love to see that. Shame he's not English.
Mm.
You know, you've got
I think he
Duncan.
could play for England. You know, I think they were talking about that with Ferguson.
Is he not already started with Ireland, isn't he? But then again, I don't know what the rules are with that.
He's played a couple. I think you have to play more than 3 games, but there was rumours because he pulled out of the last Ireland squad, and everyone was saying, "Oh, he's waiting for the England call up." But I think he was just injured. But I think he is going to play for Ireland. I think he is Ireland through and through. But there were some rumours.
If he doesn't, Rich, we need a new Harry Kane within the next 2 years, don't we? So you know what I mean.
Yeah.
There's a spot there, but that will be. But as you were saying, yeah, Lewis Dunk, consistent as you like at the back. Finally started getting some his just desserts. You know, getting his call up for England, and he played well in that game. You know, I've always thought he was a good player, Dunk, but it sounds silly. Just having that name Dunk, I think, has put people off him over the years. He just sounds shit.
Yeah,
but, you know, what a solid player, and he's done well for himself. Yeah, they got good players all over the place, mate. Estepinian, the fullback. I could probably go on all night, Rich. Good side, Brighton.
Are you a Brighton fan?
Yeah.
No, I totally agree. And they play with a good kind of style as well. And like we've talked about, CC in the house says Brighton are a very good side, great manager who won't like that we've beaten them, nor will their players. So if we don't match Brighton's energy and intensity, we will lose. People still talk about Wednesday. Even our first teams were poor on Wednesday. Not a bad team. Can't understand it really. Yeah, I totally get it, Gary. Hopefully they put it out of their system by Saturday. What else? Gary said 2 million for Matoma. Wow.
Unbelievable value, that.
Yeah, and Evan Ferguson will go for 100 million plus soon. Well, if Chelsea have got anything to do with it, they'll probably pay 200 million for it.
I don't know why Todd Bowley just didn't buy Brighton and not forget about Chelsea.
Yeah. Eric, winning one trophy, any trophy will bring a winning culture, and that's what we need. I agree. We just gotta get find out what trophy it's going to be, and obviously finish us higher in the Prem.
It's hard. Who wins anything other than Man
City?
It is hard. It's 3
hard.
trophies a season. Yeah. You know, it's difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, like I said, it was more about the manner of the performance.
Yeah, agreed.
Really random. Dunkinho might have added a few zeros.
Yeah, exactly.
What else we got? No, but yeah, I think that's the case with Brighton. So many good players, so many attacking players. They're always on the front foot. Would you say they've got any kind of weaknesses? Obviously, we've beaten them twice. But was there anything that we kind of exploited with them, or is there anything that you spotted with other teams that have beaten them or scored against them that we can exploit or look to kind of get through them?
Do you know what? I'm not sure about that. And I think the reason I'm not sure is because the press really have got a bit of a hard on for Brighton, haven't they? Which is fine. And we only ever see and we're fed what they do well. When Brighton lose the odd couple of games, it's not a news story, is it? And you don't really notice. So I'd have to say I'm not too sure about that, Rich. You got any views on that yourself, mate?
Other than the fact that their games tend to have quite a few goals in them. Um, and as with loads of teams now, even Villa, who like to play out from the back, they tend to give it away in areas that could hurt them. But I think they accept that they're going to do that on the basis that they'll get through and they'll get good chances.
We'll
But I
score
do
more than
think
you
that,
mentality.
yeah, I do think that they give away chances where they shouldn't, by playing out from the back. I think their keeper, if it's Steele, but I don't know if it's Steele that plays all the time now. If it's him, I think he can be a bit suspect. Um, but yeah, they haven't got many weaknesses. Um, but yeah, I guess from a Villa perspective, if we can go 1-0 up, we can start fast 1-0, 2-0 up, then we'll just go back to the 10 at the back and just let them try and get through us. So yeah, I think that's the situation. Like for me, CC has said, I think Brighton's weakness is if you cut off their flanks and stop them getting into a rhythm, they're susceptible to a team coming at them. I just hope we get off to a fast start. Um, talking on that, talking about Villa. Um, Before we get starting lineups and stuff, how do you expect the players to kind of bounce back from Wednesday, or like, are you expecting a reaction? Are you expecting that kind of usual fast start from Villa on Saturday?
Yeah, I'm obviously only going off the other games that we've lost so far. I think we've won every time after we've lost one. And this is the Premier League. This is the bread and butter, and this seems to be, it's no seems about it. This is the main competition throughout the year, and there's the Villa Park factor. Last night, Wednesday was obviously our first defeat in after 10 straight wins in all comps at home. We this is we'll get back to winning ways hopefully, and get, like you say, get an early goal, get one up. You get one up at Villa Park, and very rarely these days do we seem to let that slip. So I'd say, no time for sulking about the Everton game. Just get into this one, start well, try and get your noses in front, and as you say, hopefully it doesn't have to be a backs against the wall job to keep the lead, but just get in there and do what needs to be done and try and get some points out of it.
Yeah. Are you expecting, Ollie Watkins got that monkey off his back with scoring on last Sunday, expecting him to, get back into some sort of form? You expecting McGinn to come out a bit more aggressive, Diaby maybe to get back into form? Who are you expecting to kind of, inspire us almost?
Yeah, like what you just said there, I hope they all do. Watkins, he wasn't fantastic, was he, at Chelsea? Fair play, got the winner, good finish as well. And that's exactly what we always say about him. When he should score, he doesn't, and when he's got no right to score, he does. I thought that was an amazing strike, wasn't it? Really, he just swung the boot at it, sweet as a nut, bang in the corner. Hopefully he can get another one this weekend. Looking at Diaby, considering he started so well this season, he's kind of gone a little bit backwards. I think the last maybe 3-4 games. That's not me having a go at him. That's
No,
just what I see.
I don't think we've found him in areas where he can hurt the other team as well. I think he's having to try and drop a bit deeper for the ball. It's all interlinked, isn't it? Like McGinn's not playing as well. McGinn's not driving into spaces that might create more space for Diaby. It always interlinks, doesn't it? So
Yeah, relationships on the pitch and that, isn't it?
yeah, yeah, absolutely,
And
absolutely.
it's looking like Bailey might be out, isn't it? So that could be a blow because Bailey and Diaby have struck up a bit of a chord, haven't they? Especially at home.
Exactly, and yeah, we know Bailey at home is a good player and a good sort of kind of foil for Diaby, but also kind of produces goals. So yeah, I mean, again, like we'll go on to starting lineups in a second. You guys get in the comments with who you think's going to start, what you would put in the starting lineup. But what have been your thoughts on old Nicola Zaniolo? Because he's obviously got a good song. Like, I know we've nicked it off other teams, but
not like us, Rich, is it?
Yeah, he's taken to that song. He's kind of become that little bit of a cult hero because we've got a good song for him. But in terms of performance level, in terms of productivity, I have to say I haven't been hugely impressed with him. I think there's a player there, but what have you thought about him?
Yeah, he's been all right. I wouldn't say he's been rubbish. I wouldn't say he's been great. He looks the part. I'll give him that. There's something about watching him. I was drawn to him at Chelsea last weekend. He just looks like he should be a proper player. He looks like a centre forward to me, but obviously he's not. Yeah, he's done okay. I think a goal will change everything for him. That's all it takes sometimes when you're in a new club, isn't it? Just a goal to have that moment with the fans and to then get that respect of your teammates. They'll start believing in you and things start to turn. But he looks neat and tidy, good technique. He's not scared to put his foot in, which I like, especially considering the past injuries that he's got. I think he's okay. There's plenty of time for him yet. But if there's no Bailey, you'll be looking at someone, to start knocking in the numbers, start either getting an assist or a goal here and there. So while he's in the team at the minute, because Ramsey apparently has had a bit of a setback, I'd say Zaniolo needs to try and nail down that shirt as quick as he can.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, we've got nearly 50 watching. I think we've had over 50 at one point. We've only got 23 likes. So you know what to do, people. Hit that like button, help spread the word of the channel, and subscribe if you're new. We're getting very, very close to 2,500 on the road to 3K. You guys can help us get there. So you know what to do. Smash that like button. Help us spread the word. What have we got here? CC, I know more about what we shouldn't do. We cannot play slow football. We need to be aggressive while keeping control. Midfield is key, as is stopping the long ball to Ferguson and Mitoma. Well, they've got a lot of ways that they can hurt us. But yeah, I agree. Get in their faces and play quickly and through. Hopefully that'll get us the points. Duncan, Bailey out, Ramsey doubtful for Brighton. Yeah, he's having a fitness test, I believe, in the morning. So we'll see on Ramsey. Rachel says, nice to have Tim and Diego Carlos are coming back. Yeah, I'd like to see Eric Bonham. I think Dendonk has been so poor. I'd like to see Eric Bonham in that kind of midfield position. I know he played further forward for QPR, but I think he's in that 6 role, win the ball, play it to someone who can run with it. Ramsey's a doubt, says CC. Adamski says Zaniolo looks more suited to the 9 role.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, Brett says the apathy of that defeat, Rich, on Wednesday surprised me. Like we're snubbing our nose at the League Cup, we haven't won anything for over 25 years. 4 games in Wembley and Man City out. Yeah, it just the more you think about it, the more it annoys you. Another year, one more cup competition in domestically in terms of the FA Cup. Hopefully, we can do something in that. Very late fitness test tomorrow, is apparently still in pain, says Rachel regarding Ramsey. CC, I can see Zaniolo having a good game. Deco says Emmy, Cash, Concert, Pau, and Dina. McGinn, Kamara, Dougie, Zaniolo, Diaby, Watkins.
That's my team.
You've got Adamski saying that you know what you're on about.
Glad someone thinks so, mate.
Yeah, you got support. You got supporter there. CC says 24 likes now. Thank you. Let's get a few more. Be brilliant. As long as we don't put McGinn in defence, says Stephen. Yeah, I don't think that experience. I don't think that experience will be tried again. Gary said Canadian Pete doesn't rate him, and unless he improves, he won't be here past his loan. But I rate him, and he does try. Yeah, I think it's a little bit early to tell, but I did see Pete saying that on the channel, and some of his passing stats weren't great. But hopefully, like you say, George, he gets a goal. That kind of output starts to kind of tip back in his favour. Gary says no Bailey, Ramsey, Moreno again, so probably same again. Spengden says totally agree with you, Rich, about Zaniolo. Not productive, but the fan base aren't ready for that conversation. Yeah, I think they're just giving him a bit of time.
Give the geezer a bit of a chance, man.
Yeah, it's one of them. Really random. I'm worried with Carlos. Didn't have an injury before he came, then has had 2 or 3 already. Yeah, it just I don't know. Maybe it's the kind of intensity of the Premier League.
Physicality.
Maybe been a bit unlucky.
It's
We'll
not really
see.
happened for him yet, has it? He's not really got
Yeah,
started.
yeah. No, it hasn't. It hasn't. Um, yeah. So let stick Meatball in goal. Yeah. Might do better than Olsen. But
Why
yeah,
didn't we get a new keeper, man? Jesus Christ. All we said about all summer, wasn't it? Just replace him. Didn't want to see him ever again.
Well, let's see your starting lineup and see if it's the same as mine. I think it's fairly picking itself at the moment. So yeah, Martinez in goal, Matty Cash right back, Ezri Konsa, Torres and Dina, Luis Kamara, McGinn, Zaniolo, Diaby and Watkins. Yep, and I have gone for I think it's the same. Yeah, Cash, Konsa, Torres, Dina, Kamara, Louise, McGinn, Diaby, Watkins, Zaniolo. I don't think there's much else we can do at the moment, George.
Well, there's not, because like we say, we're trying the other players in the cup games, and then they're just not performing, are they? I mean, Tielemans again, absolutely shocking in the week. It's not. I've got no agenda against him. Before anyone thinks I do, I have, but he just hasn't. He's given it the large, and I haven't seen anything from him yet, apart from pre-season, to show me that he deserves to get a game at the moment. So he's gonna have to carry on licking his wounds until he pulls his finger out.
Exactly. Yeah, he needs to come on and put himself about a little bit more, get involved in the game a little bit more.
Yeah,
I almost think he's trying to run around too much, but then not really settling into like a position of where he wants to receive the ball. It's almost like he's just going, running around like a headless chicken. But it's interesting to know what our bench is going to be, because we've got Duran maybe as an attacking option. I don't think Traore is fit unless I'm mistaken. Ramsey might make the bench. So you've probably got Duran, Ramsey. What other attacking options have we got? And then you got
I don't
midfield
know.
with Tielemans. Who else have you
Would you
got?
draft a young lad Kellyman in? He looks like not a bad player, but it's a bit
Yeah,
slight. But
maybe.
I think
He ain't
he's
gonna.
got a
He
bit
ain't
about
gonna.
him
Yeah.
myself.
The ability to make 5 substitutions again is hampering us, because we haven't got. We won't have Bailey. We won't have Moreno.
Carlos, is Carlos a doubt, or is he on the
Carlos
bench?
probably is about, but in terms of attack though, like
No, there's not a lot there, mate, is there?
Zaniolo's looking like he'll have to play the full match. Like
Yeah,
who are you gonna who are you gonna bring him off for?
yeah, mate. I can't argue with that. There ain't really anyone else, is there?
So we're back to this weak squad. Like it's a bit worrying.
It is worrying. I mean, you can't really blame the club or blame Emery. We've just had some really rotten luck with injuries so far this season. When you count how many are out there, right? So you start at Carlos, Moreno, Ramsey,
Mings,
Bailey, Mings,
Buendia.
Buendia. We're looking at any more than that? 6 already. We're not used to having injuries at that level with actually players that have got a good shout of starting most games. You're up to half a team there. So, it's just a bit of rotten luck, and we just have to get on with it, mate. And January will come round soon enough.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we've got Mings, Bailey, Ramsey, Buendia so far on FOTMOB, but I think there's more players that are a doubt. Maybe Traore makes the bench. I'm
He's
not
just a
sure,
waste of
but
time, Rich, isn't he?
yeah, yeah,
Pops in for a couple of games a season, scores a couple of goals, and we don't see him again.
yeah. CC utilizes some Steve Bruce quote. It's time for the lads to pull up their big boy socks. Brian at home is a good place to do it. Absolutely, I agree. What else have we got? Dico Blanca says Kellerman did make a difference on Wednesday. He wanted the ball. Just a bit lightweight. That's the only thing I would say, but you can't to be expected. Really random. Expecting an upgrade, to be honest. Yep. I don't think that's towards the keepers. Geordie, away the lads. Yeah, great to have you on board, mate. Supporting the channel. I think you guys have got Burnley tomorrow. We just need to keep winning to stop Newcastle from catching up with us, because I can't deal with any more Geordies. Me living up here, I can't deal with them. The only thing I'm clinging on to is the fact that we're 3 points ahead of them at the moment, which is good. Yeah, we're looking thin with injuries. It's such bad timing. I totally agree.
That's what I always say. We're not allowed nice things at Villa, mate. The second somebody starts getting rosy, someone throws a spanner in there.
Yeah. Gary, Tielemans and Dendoncker are Belgian for tortoise and donkey, or should be. Oh, harsh. CC would love to see more of Kellyman come on as a sub. I think he'd surprise a few teams. Yeah, maybe. So yeah, let's just have a quick look at the stats in terms of both teams. With regards to Villa and Brighton head-to-heads in the Premier League. So we played each other 8 times. We have 5 total wins. Brighton have 1, and we have 2 draws. So we've won 3 home games against them and 2 away games, and they have won 1 away game. I believe that was in lockdown. So recent meetings, obviously, last game of last season was 2-1 victory for Villa. It's obviously sealed Europa Conference League football for us. Then we won in, as you mentioned, George, 2-1 at Brighton. On Emery's first away game, I believe, second full game of his tenure. We also won 2-0 away under Steven Gerrard, 2-1 at home under Steven Gerrard.
First away game, wasn't it?
Was it?
I think so, mate. Yeah.
No, the home game was his first game.
Yeah, I mean first away game.
Yeah.
I said.
Yeah. The it might have been his away win, maybe. I don't know, but it was February 2022. I remember Matty Cash scored a cracker.
Yeah.
But yeah, home game. It was his first game of his reign against us, and I remember Ollie Watkins scoring a cracker from like 20 yards out. And then before that, can't remember that game too much. It was a 0-0 draw at Brighton. I think they might have absolutely battered us, but we managed
the bar, if I remember. Yeah.
yeah. I think maybe Emi Martinez was man of the match in that one. But yeah, decent record in the last 5 games. Obviously, won 4, drawn 1, so that's good. And as a lot of you have said in the chat, we're a bogey side for them.
Well, I bet there's not many teams that have got a good record against them as ours.
No, absolutely not. No, we've done well against them. Form over the last 5 games exactly the same. Won 4, lost 1. We've obviously beaten Everton, Burnley, Crystal Palace, and Chelsea. Lost to Liverpool. They've beaten Wolves, Newcastle, Man United, and Bournemouth. So you could argue they've probably had the tougher games. Lost to West Ham, but they've, you look at them. They've conceded in all of them, but there've been goals in them. They've been either 4 or 5 goals. I mean, the last 4 games in the Premier League for them have been 3-1, which is very interesting. Current position, we're currently 6th, they're 3rd. We've won 4, obviously they've won 5. We've 4 and lost 2, we're on 12 points. They're won 5, lost 1, they're on 15 points. Average goals they score are 3, we're 2. Average goals conceded 1.3, we're 1.6, so not too much difference. We've had 2 clean sheets, they've had no clean sheets this season. They create more chances than us, so 2.67 chances per game and 1.5 for us. So I'd say, in terms of their chance creation, better, but us in terms of our defending, better with regards to clean sheets. So very, very even spread, George. It is really going to be a very, very even game, I think.
Yeah, it should be a decent game, mate. It's got all the appetite for it, hasn't it? As you just said, with the stats, both teams sort of going well in the league and not so well outside of it. Yeah, it kind of reminds me that we had an early kickoff last year against Newcastle at home, didn't we? And it's kind of got that similar feel about it because we were both doing well at the same time last year, and we'll rip anyone's hand off for a repeat of that day again, won't we?
Absolutely, and that felt like that was probably up there with our best performance of the season, and
probably
felt
was the
like
best.
Felt like a pinnacle of what we were doing, and hopefully the players can, like you say, repeat that in terms of performance level, and kind of that'll set the benchmark for what we're expecting. Because I just don't quite feel like and I wouldn't expect it. I don't quite feel like we've hit anything like top gear. I don't think we've played like well for a full match. I don't think we've actually had a full team playing like almost at their maximum yet.
No, we haven't. But I think it was yesterday on Twitter, someone was kind of making that point. But they were saying that Emery's record is actually better this season than it was last year over the same amount of games, or his first amount of games. They're saying we're up to nearly 2 points a game now.
We are at 2 points a game.
That's got to get you. What's got to get you? What top? If that was over a season, that's got to be top 5. Is it maybe top 6?
Yeah.
So maybe we're just our expectations are creeping up a little bit too high. But it's
And
good
and
times.
look, I guess it's just that at some point, because we're not quite playing well, we're winning games obviously, but at some point you kind of have that fear that it's going to catch up with you. But I do think the way that Emery sets us up is the fact that we will win games regardless. We will win games just because of how organised we are, just because of the way that he sets up chances for us to score. Like that's what we will do. So yeah. I'll go through some comments, then we'll get score predictions. So Textra is in the house. Hey villains, first time in your chat from Jamaica. Great to have you on board. Make sure if you're liking it, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Amazing stuff. Brett said the only thing I liked about Gerrard was his honesty about not winning anything and going full out for cups. Yeah, I don't know if it helped him though. That's the only thing. But hey, what happened in the Carabao? Where did it go wrong? Oh, mate, honestly.
Just a no-show, wasn't it? A no-show
Yeah,
performance.
no show. Players didn't turn up. Didn't give anything for the fans to shout about. Just not good at all.
Again, though, conceding the first goal and going to bits, which is what we do, isn't it? Really, on the whole.
Yeah. Deco said, I made a Gerrard highlight reel as our manager. It consisted of 2 seconds of him staring at Everton fans.
He did look cool, though, didn't he? Just for a little while.
Yeah. Patrick said, Ferguson would never be allowed back in Ireland if he switched. Absolutely no chance, lads. Move on. Hey, yeah. Gary said, Brighton will rock up to Villa Park and stick it up us. Hey, there we go with the puns. Love it. What have we got here? Pre-season was 3-3, wasn't it? Who was that against?
That's
was that Brighton, wasn't it?
Brentford,
Yeah,
Brentford,
was it 3-3 against?
He's thinking
No,
of
it was Brentford. That was Brentford. Yeah.
I told you everyone confuses Brentford and Brighton.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. So anyway, get in the chat, guys, with your predictions, score predictions for Saturday. Obviously, it's the early kickoff. Don't forget that. And do please hit that like button and hit that subscribe button to help us grow. As I said before, really close to 2,500. The subscribers this week have been brilliant. I know we're trying to smash out as much content as we can across the week. Just to bring as much as we can to you guys. So yeah, please do hit that like button and please hit that subscribe button. It really does mean a lot. And if you want to get involved in Super Chat or become a member, it'd be really, really amazing if you could. So George, Tex just said, yes, I have subscribed and shared the link. Fantastic. Thank you very much. Really appreciate that. I don't know what that is. What Gary said, what happens in winter with them shirts? They could freeze to the spot. But anyway, what is your thoughts on the score for tomorrow? And are you going to the game, George?
No, I'm not going, unfortunately. Work has got in the way, which is a massive blow. And they've even, just our luck tomorrow, right? We've got all the directors are in at work, apparently. Like normally on a Saturday, the lads kind of do their own thing. It's kind of one of them. Everyone knows they want to watch football. Just leave us alone. But too much backstage politics has meant that tomorrow everyone has got to go back to the office, work there full time. So it's going to kill me on an early kickoff for Villa. So I'm going to be sat there on my phone, mate, watching it on there, which is a bit of a sad one.
Trying to slyly watch it.
Yeah, exactly. So that's my day. Sorry for boring everyone with that. but as for the game itself, I don't know. I should have thought about this before. I think. So what we're still 9 Premier League wins on the bounce, aren't we? Without any draws or anything or defeats.
Yes.
Yeah. God.
Because was it 10 wins in all competitions?
Yeah, they chucked that Hibs one in, didn't they, to make it look better?
Yeah.
How long can this go on for, Rich? I think I'm going to take a draw here. I know I went for a draw last week and we won, so I'm going to do the same thing again. So I'm going to go 1-1, and the goal scorer is going to be, I'd usually say Bailey at home, but there's going to be no Bailey. So I'm going to go Zaniolo to score his first goal in front of an adoring Holt End.
Love it. Well, actually, draw. Yeah, I can see where you're coming from. Dunk says 3-1 win.
Go on, Dunk.
Gary said, "Sweaty Boys 1, Beach Boys 2."
He's on fire tonight, old Gaz, isn't he?
Get involved in the chat with your predictions. We've only got a couple in, so please do get involved quick. Brett said, like I said, Rich, I was there on Wednesday and the performance disgusted me. Birmingham City have won more than us in 20 years. Why are we taking this cup as a joke? Mate, I don't know. I really don't know. It really annoyed me. It just, the manner of the performance really annoyed me. And as I've said, we can't keep having these poor performances and then trying to react with a win in the Premier League. Obviously, if we win tomorrow, brilliant. But then we got to back it up with Thursday night next week and get the win. Then we got to back it up with Wolves away. Like we've got to. We can't keep doing this by saying, oh yeah, well, we didn't really want to be in that cup, or it's one less game or whatever. Like, I'm trying to justify it to ourselves. Performance wasn't good enough, and yes, we need to react on Saturday, but we can't just keep having this situation. So
we spent all summer saying we want more games. Emery spent all summer saying we want the game. So you get knocked out of the League Cup. Okay, let's get it right. I said it the other day. If we win tomorrow, we'll let that go, won't we? With the defeat in the week.
Of course we will. Of course we will.
If it was to
we'll
go the other way again.
When it comes round to round 4 day, though, and in that midweek, we'll be pissed off then. But yeah, if we win tomorrow, then we will, of course, forgive it because we'll be up into the top 4 or whatever. It'd be great. But at the same time, it's like, why can't the team? We keep being sold this dream of a team that have got quality players, can bring players in. Yes, we've got injuries, admittedly, but you're not showing it if the only time you can play well is when you've kind of focused on the Premier League or you're trying to react to a defeat, and that's the annoying thing. So
is this the attitude of the players though? Did they just think, oh, it's at a low attendance?
I'd be very disappointed
in them
if they did. I'd be very disappointed if they did. That to me is not a mentality of a winning side. Yes, you're going to lose games. Everybody knows that you're going to lose games. That's not the point. It's the manner of the defeat. If you're approaching games like that, then you shouldn't really be playing football.
We've thrown in some absolute horror shows in the Cup. I'll go back over probably a decade, and the worst of them going back to like Steve Bruce. All right, we were trying to get promoted, but some of them games, remember, like when we got dicked by Peterborough at home, like, and they hammered us, and it's just some Sheffield United and teams like that, and you just think, what are you being told? Are you being told this doesn't matter, or have you just decided on your own back that this doesn't matter and we're not going to bother today?
I don't know, because it wasn't, like I say, with the team that he put out, it wasn't a team that was really taking the mick out of the cup. He had some good players in the side. I know he put Mig in at left back, which was a bit of a strange one. But yeah. Anyway,
Luka D needed a rest there somewhere, didn't he?
Yeah,
no
he did.
Left back, so what'd you do?
Yeah.
Someone had to go there.
Yeah. Lewis says 2-2. Rachel said Brighton will beat us 3-1. Gary always predicts a 2-1 loss. I thought he predicted a win, though. Did he? Oh, no. Yes. Yeah, he does. Deco said, think high scoring. Both defences aren't watertight, even with our shirts. 3-2 Villa puts us level with them. Gary Edmonds this time says, another Gary. Bloody hell, how many Garys are in this chat?
We love a Gary on there.
Yeah, we love a Gary. 2-0, no sweat. There we go. Texture, if we start with the right intensity, we start attacking the wings early enough, we could get a 2-1 Villa 2 Brighton 1 result, but Cash has got to totally shut down Mitoma. I totally agree with you. It's going to be a tough one for him. Rich Burton says 3-2 Villa, Diaby 2 and Watkins. That would be brilliant. CC says 2-1 Villa. I'm going to say 2-2. I do think it'll be a draw. And you know what it is? I was saying this to one of my colleagues at work who's a Villa fan. I know we love winning, don't get me wrong. The highs of winning are brilliant, but the lows of losing are shocking. I wouldn't mind a couple of draws. I wouldn't mind just to draw, just to settle it down.
Yeah.
Like a good game, like whether we've come back from going a goal down and got it back or whatever, or we're 2-1 down and we get a late goal to make it 2-2. And just to be like, know that we're competing at that level and just to kind of settle it down rather than being, like I say, the highs of winning and the lows of losing so much. I wouldn't mind that. So yeah, I'm going to say 2-2. I'm going to say Diaby and Watkins. I think Diaby will score his first home Premier League goal, I believe, and I do think Watkins will continue his goal scoring. Now he's back in the goals. Duncan said Diaby 2, Zaniolo 1 for Villa's 3, and Matoma for Brighton. Rachel said momentum and keep the points ticking over. Yep. CC says exactly, being hard to beat, I'd be okay with a draw.
The run of games following doesn't look too bad on paper. I know it's not played on paper, mine, but
yeah,
this is the hardest one for a while, I think.
Absolutely. Emery doesn't do draws, says Deco, and Villa don't get many generally. We were either great or woeful. What's Matty D saying?
Emery's not had a 0-0 in about 70 games or something. It's crazy.
Yeah, wanting a draw, taking the mick, or no. Honestly, it's not that I want us to draw. Like, I'd love us to win. I love I love the highs of winning. I absolutely love it. But yeah, it's just sometimes just to kind of settle it down. It's yeah, sometimes getting a draw. I mean, I guess draws away from home are better, aren't they? You know, you want to win at home, of course. So I'm sorry, Matty D, but I still think it'll be a draw. Gary said Gary glitters to blame.
Wow.
I don't know what this chat's all about at the moment, but yeah, Brett is definitely not happy with Emery in the cup competitions, but hopefully we could do something in the Conference League and the FA Cup.
I've had similar meltdowns over the years to what Brett just put down there. I felt that, mate.
Yeah. Stephen, Emery needs to never been involved in the goalless draw in the Prem. 2-2 sounds good, I think. And Matty, yeah, thank you, mate. Thank you. Right, George, I think that is us done. I'll be at the game tomorrow. I'm taking my lad down, so we're setting off early from up in the northeast. So I believe we'll either be in the we'll be around the ground, Aston Social, maybe Aston Tavern, maybe.
Won't be in the whole suite, will you?
No, we won't be. I'm not paying the extra.
Will anyone?
And yeah, maybe in the kids zone as well. So if you do see me, do pop up and say hello. It'd be great to see some of you who watch us. And yeah, hopefully we get the win. But as I say, I'm predicting a draw. George, thank you so much. Guys, thank you so much in the chat. As I said before, do hit that like button on your way out. Hit that subscribe button. Help us on the road to 3K, almost at 2,500. So your support is amazing. So thank you so much. But help continue by liking and subscribing. We'll be back. Well, I'll be back with an instant match reaction, hopefully at some point tomorrow when I can do that. We'll be back with match reaction show and fans forum. So keep your eye out for content on the channel over the next few days. Hopefully we get the win. And as always, remember, we all follow the Villa. Thanks, everyone.